At least I looked at it this time.
Welcome to Namely 90s. Wow. The podcast that takes you back to the time before smartphones, Google, and Y2K. Join your hosts as they relive the pop culture that shaped a generation and the parts that many people wish they could forget. Listen in to the conversation about how the decade defined those who spent their childhood there and how it shaped them as adults. So, turn down the grunge and dial up the internet. Let's get started. It's time for Namely 90s.
That's right. You're listening to Namely 90s. My name is Andrew, and over there is Brandon.
That's me.
You can find this show online at namely90s.com or on Twitter and Instagram at namely90s with a 90s. You can also find the show on YouTube every Monday at namely90s.com/YouTube. And finally, if you'd like to support the show, head on over to patreon.com/namely90s, also with a 90s, and get signed up for one of the support levels. I realized as I was doing that, I should take a breath.
Are you like, why?
I don't know. I feel like I have a light chest pain from my dinner of Taco Bell, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm feeling mine from 2 days ago.
Oh, boy. So I had the Mexican pizza for the first time.
Mm-hmm. As did I.
First of all, they didn't cut it, which made it very complicated to eat.
No, they did not.
The line was so long, it took forever. I get home, the pizza is entirely in one piece.
So, I just gotta say, the last 2 days it was just like in pre-release to the Taco Bell app. People that use the app on their phone. Today is the official release, the day that we're recording. So, you made a terrible mistake going to Taco Bell today.
Yeah, it wasn't the best. So I did that, and yeah, I mean, to your point, it wasn't any better than anything else they make, which shouldn't be a surprise, considering all of their food uses the same ingredients.
Exactly, Laszlo.
But no, it was pretty good. And then I had some tacos, the chips and cheese or something, though. I'll tell you what. You ever had that?
Chips and no, because I prefer the nacho fries when they're here.
Oh, well, they're not mutually exclusive, let me just say. But
it's the same cheese, though.
It's the same cheese, but the nacho fries are gone now, so I just go with the chips.
They were there yesterday.
Oh, yeah, the guy today asked, and they were like, yeah, we don't have nacho fries, so get effed.
There's actually a point in the last 2 days where you could put nacho fries in your Mexi pizza.
What?
Yeah. I didn't. Yeah. I wasn't able to because both of the Taco Bells by me decided not to accept app orders past 9 p.m. last night. Yet they're open until midnight 30.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I came home and watched the latter basically quarter of the movie, the X-Files movie, Fight the Future, which actually isn't the name of the movie, but people call it that.
Is the first one or the second? That's the first one.
That is that's the first one. Yeah. The one between the fifth and sixth seasons. So,
and you did that because you fell asleep watching it the previous night?
No, I actually stopped it last night because I got tired and went to bed. I actually did the responsible thing for once in my life.
Why would you start the movie when you know you wouldn't make it through?
I didn't know for sure. I realized I was tired. So that when the scene changed, I was like, I don't have the energy for this. I'm going to bed. So I did.
Nice. I guess that's responsible.
Yeah, I know. Usually I'd just be like, I'll just watch this, pass out, and then try watching it like the next 3 nights.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's what's going on here. What else? I'm going to the musical Hamilton in 2 days.
Wow. And we won't get to hear how that went for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. I mean, it's Spokane Hamilton, so that's going to be interesting.
Is it Spokane Hamilton or is it...
it's Spokane Hamilton.
Ooh.
Spokamelto. No.
It's not like the traveling Broadway
No,
thing?
it is the Broadway one.
Okay.
It's not like the local Everett, Washington rendition of Cats that I had to sit through once, which is horrible. It's actually my first show with my wife going to a musical.
Wow, that's an adult milestone.
Well, I did take my high school girlfriend to one, which I think she's still bitter about. Kayla, that is.
Because she'd never gone to a musical with you.
With me. I'm an avid consumer of the performing arts.
Yeah. If performing arts consists of teenage boys hitting each other with sticks.
Or just rewatching the same old crappy 2000 shows I've watched for like years and years, then yes, I'm really into the performing arts.
I like me. I like me a musical or an opera if I have the opportunity. I've been to a couple operas in SLO at the Cal Poly Performing Arts Center. I don't think I've been to a musical out here.
Oh, speaking of California, I keep meeting people from the Central Coast. It's really bizarre.
How so?
Well, through my job as a veterinarian.
No, how's it bizarre?
It's like a very specific place. And then why in God's name would you move to Spokane? Oh, hey, when are you moving? No, but like why in God's name would you move from there to Spokane? Seriously.
While San Luis Obispo seems somewhat liberal, literally 5 minutes outside of the like core of this town is super conservative. So everyone here thinks of the godsend that is Idaho because of their conservative views and non-lib having ways.
Non-lib having. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird, but anyway.
Like my very sure like the girl that cuts my hair, her parents are moving to Idaho. She has family in Montana, like you do.
But I was like, I mentioned, it was like, oh, my friend lives down there. He went to school there and just stayed. And they're like, yeah, that's true. That happens to a lot of people. I was like, okay, why did I say fucking anything? Sorry. Do you have to use the E tag if I say it with such enthusiasm?
I mean, if we say it 2 more times, we probably should throw it on.
It's like being on FX after 9 p.m. What?
Just you went there real quick.
Yeah, sorry.
You know what didn't have an E tag? Our 2-year anniversary special.
What I was reacting to is like, what this is exactly why we don't talk to strangers. Like, because you say stupid stuff and then they say stupider stuff. It just makes it feel like a piece of crap, you know?
I mean, okay. I'm pretty sure you just described small talk.
Yeah, which is why I never get my hair cut. Anyway,
you skipped a beat there.
But for the listeners and viewers, if you keep seeing me turning to my right, it's because my recording computer took a giant dump right before this, and I had to switch all of my recording over to the other computer, which is to the right of me. So that's what's happening. And
Andrew is very uncomfortable not seeing my face for the first time in 127 episodes.
But it is making me really conscious of my current neck beard, which is sort of gross. But
which they won't see unless you keep turning to your right.
I can't help it. Oh, dear God. Plus, I can't see your lovely background, which looks like it looks like some sort of swingers club. Is it a Star Trek ship?
It is. It's the Enterprise D's observation lounge.
The Enterprise D?
Yes, that's the next generation Enterprise.
Swingers. It is not liking your microphone. Wow.
No, it is not.
Anyway.
But all things that, even if you are a viewer at namely90s.com/YouTube, you can't see. Because my background is most definitely something different.
Oh, I thought that was what you were going with. Okay.
No, this is just to mess with you because you can't see me. And now every time you look over, there will be a different background.
Well, my background is a door and half of a moving blanket. So
which again, no one can see.
That's why I'm being so descriptive. It's blue. It has tan stitching in a chevron-like pattern.
It looks as if he's stolen it from a U-Haul that he was renting.
Harbor Freight that I bought it from. Thank you, sir.
Gotcha.
Anyway.
Okay. Yeah.
The 2-year anniversary. That was a long one. That's what she said.
Why don't we just get into the episode?
Okay. Okay. Why don't you tell us what was going on? Oh, no. In May of 1990.
In May of travel back to, I don't know how to do this part. Travel back with me, listeners, if you will, to May of 1990. On the 2nd, Kay Panabaker is born. Do you know who Kay Panabaker is, Andrew?
Not a dang clue.
She played Debbie on Phil of the Future. Do you know what Phil of the Future is, Andrew?
I don't.
It was a Disney Channel show when we were kids.
I know the name, but that's about it.
It was like Lizzie McGuire era, or like pre-Lizzie McGuire era. She's a retired actress. Her sister, Danielle Panabaker, probably currently best known as Caitlin Snow on the Flash TV series. On the 12th, Nora Dunn, cast member, and Sinead O'Connor, musical guest, boycott SNL to protest the host for the episode of SNL that week, Andrew Dice Clay, for being a sexist, racist pig.
So you basically hashtag me first is what he was the first one. No.
Kind of. So essentially, Andrew Dice Clay is known for his act where he is like over the top sexist and racist, and they just last minute dropped out to protest.
Yeah, and to clarify my point, I was just making a bad joke, but men have been gross creeps since the beginning of existence, so let's just keep that in mind.
It's a good point. He just really highlighted it in his act. But it was just an act, man. That's his shtick.
Yeah, I feel like that argument just falls apart really quickly.
Really quickly. Even in 1990. And this is the first time SNL used this is the third time in its history that SNL used a timed delay during the broadcast.
Wow.
Yeah. On the 14th, Sasha Spielberg. Wow. Sasha Spielberg. Sasha Spielberg is born. Do you know who that is?
Daughter of, I'm going to say, Steven Spielberg. Born.
And
the other lady whose name I forgot.
The woman from Temple of Doom.
Oh, shoot. I'll never remember it.
Steven Spielberg's wife is, I don't remember.
As soon as you say it, I'm going to be mad that I didn't remember.
Kate Capshaw.
Yeah, I wouldn't remember that. Okay, moving on.
Actually, sorry. They were married in 1991. So who birthed this child? Moving on. I think she might be on Euphoria or something because she's been popular lately. Licorice Pizza, that's what she was in. Her Kate Capshaw is her mother. On the 16th, Jim Henson dies of toxic shock syndrome as a result of pneumonia at 53.
Oh, I didn't realize he was that young.
Yeah. Also on the 16th, Sammy Davis Jr. dies. Do you know who Sammy Davis Jr. is?
Isn't he the black guy from the Rat Pack?
That is correct. Star of the original Ocean's 11, or right. One of the stars of the original Ocean's 11, alongside Sinatra. Best known as for his singing of the song Candyman. He dies at 64 of lung cancer.
Oh.
Another lung-related death there on the 16th.
Lots and lots of smoking.
On the 17th, Cheers star Kelsey Grammer is sentenced to 30 days in jail for a DWI.
So can you tell me when they use DWI versus DUI?
Probably somewhere around 2008.
Driving while influenced? Driving while under the influence? What?
I think it's...
Driving while intoxicated.
Yes, that's what DWI is.
Okay, interesting.
DUI is under the influence.
Yeah.
It might be even like a East Coast versus West Coast thing.
Driving under the influence of really smart comedy based in Seattle.
There is a difference in Texas. DWI is a more serious crime. DUIs are only charged to minors.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. DWI means driving while intoxicated or impaired.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, also on the 17th, the World Health Organization, WHO, takes homosexuality out of its list of mental illnesses.
1990.
1990. Well, actually, that's probably progressive for them.
Yeah, but I feel like a mental disorder, like that's a bit much.
Didn't the AIDS crisis kind of bleed over into the early 90s?
I think it did.
Yeah, like those. Not that they should be connected. It's just in the political history of this country, those concepts were related in some people's minds back then. On the 20th, please dig me out of this hole. On the 20th, you know what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
On the 20th, the Hubble Space Telescope sends its first photographs from space.
Someone's finger is in the frame.
If they're... Please cut this one out, editor. If they're promoting AIDS and HIV medication to gay couples during like CW shows, it still seems like there's a stigma there. It's only for gay men for some reason.
Well, they're at the highest risk for it.
Gotcha. On the 23rd, North and South Yemen merged to form the Republic of Yemen.
So do we record my theory that we should be pronouncing it Yemen?
I mean, technically, it's somewhere on our Zoom recording. I might be able to find it.
I'm just saying. Oh, never mind. I won't go there.
You may have even heard it to kick this off. Most likely not. On the 25th, CBS becomes the final of the three major broadcasters to introduce stereo sound.
1990. Holy crap!
Right. This coming to you in 2-channel, even though that makes it hard for people that only listen to podcasts wearing one earbud.
Well, that's why I'm right to complain about, like, when the X-Files first came on, the sound was super weird and like it's like that 80s movie sound where it sounds kind of disconnected from the actions on the screen, you know? It's like disembodied. And then it gets better.
Central Park and follow. I was thinking Ferris Bueller. On the 29th, Boris Yeltsin is elected president of the Russian Republic. Also on the 29th, Ricky Henderson steals a record 893rd base by breaking Ty Cobb's record. Do you remember Ricky Henderson?
I do, because I remember he came to the Mariners.
Over a decade later.
Was that his last season?
Was it?
Or like yearly?
My dad got him to sign something. I think I have a signed Ricky Henderson ball somewhere that I throw around because I forgot that he...
But someone stole it.
Is that what
there it is.
On the 31st, the NYC Zodiac Killer, who I believe is a copycat of the original, shoots his third victim, Joseph Ponce.
What a bad last name. I mean, R.I.P., but...
It could be Ponce. Ponce? Parlez-vous. TV premiering just ending in May of 1990. On the 7th, we have Alien Nation. On the 17th, we have Falcon Crest. On the 21st, we have Newhart, which we won't talk about later. So the ending of Newhart ends up being a dream of the character from the Bob Newhart show. So the entire 4-season series run was just a dream. Again,
that
another
is a
dream.
Big FU.
Right. On the 25th, you can't do that on television. On the 26th, Friday the 13th, the series. And on the 26th, also on the 26th, the Tracy Ullman Show, which spawned, Andrew?
The Simpsons.
The Simpsons.
The reason I mentioned the word Ponce is because as a noun, it means in English, well, English-British. What?
British-English.
No,
yes.
Just general English. A
Queen's
pretentious,
English.
affected, or effete man. And in informal British, a man who lives off a sex worker's earnings.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
That wasn't, we didn't insert sex worker there. I just made it sound like it.
I didn't realize that was the English term for, or the Queen's English term for pimp.
Well,
are you allowed to say pimp?
I don't know. Sex
Manager.
Worker, supervisor. No, they're horrible people. And then as a verb, ask for or obtain something to which one is not strictly entitled. I pounced a cigarette off her. And again, pouncing, which is he was arrested for pouncing on the girl, which means, you know.
Why Why was the sentence, I pounced a cigarette off of her? That sounds somewhat...
I don't know.
Listen,
this is the
that also sounds like assault as well.
This is the Oxford Dictionary.
Dictionary. Remember, both our Scottish and English friends listen to this.
Let's just say they put the dick in dictionary. Wait, what? Don't say that. Jeez.
Also, really sorry
Bad
to
comedy.
Gaz and Dange. I forgot to send over. Oh no, they guessed this one.
Speaking of British fellows.
Yes.
That's a very distinguished accent.
English. I think it's next week's episode that I should apologize on. So,
yo, what, another namely 90s? Quickly 90s? That's offensive. I don't know why. I'm sorry. I apologize.
You know, I thought it would be better for him not to be able to see my face, but
that's what she said.
Nope. In the box office on the 18th, we have Bird on a Wire featuring Mel Gibson and Goldie Hawn. And on the 25th, Back to the Future, Part 3. And in the Billboard charts, number 1 for May 1990. In from April for the first 2 weeks is Nothing Compares to You by Sinead O'Connor, which is followed by Vogue by Madonna for the last 2 weeks, and continue on for the third week of May 1990. At number 3, we have All I Want to Do Is Make Love to You by Heart. Number 4 is Hold On by Wilson Phillips. Number 6 is All Right.
Bye.
And I didn't complete the title. Number 7 is I Want to Be Rich by Calloway. Number 8 is Poison by Belle Biv DeVoe. Number 9 is It Must Have Been Love by Roxette. Number 14 is The Humpty Dance by Digital Underground.
Gosh.
Do you like The Humpty Dance?
No, I don't know what that is. I looked it up.
Number 15, You Can't Touch This by Seattle hip-hop artist MC Hammer. Number 19 is Don't Want to Fall in Love by Jane Child. Number 22 is Turtle Power by Partners in Kryme, spelled with a K. Number 24 is Hold On by En Vogue. And number 25 is Do You Remember by Phil Collins.
Love some Phil Collins. Oh, I do recognize this song.
What song?
The Humpty.
Oh,
He likes his oatmeal lumpy. That's a terrible rhyme. Get out of here. Hey, okay, he just said, hey, yo, fat girl, are you ticklish? So charming.
So charming.
And now let's go to Brandon for the Namely 90s Minute.
Welcome back to our mid-episode break, Namely 90s Minute. Every week we look back at a culturally relevant show, movie, or piece of pop culture that probably helps stoke the algorithm. This week, in honor of the release of Obi-Wan Kenobi on Disney+, we are looking back at his first chronological appearance in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace is the first of the Star Wars prequel trilogy, released in May of 1999. The story follows two Jedi, a master and apprentice, one with a certain set of skills and the other who chose life. Taken and Trainspotting are sent to negotiate with the Trade Federation to stop its blockade of the planet Naboo. Of course, negotiations fall through and they end up on the surface where they meet one of the most hated characters in Star Wars history, played by a human being, Ahmed Best, so remember that before you hate on him. He's a human being. They rescue the 14-year-old elected queen of the planet, played by Garden State, and try to take her back to the Galactic Senate, but they have a quick stop on Tatooine first, where they meet the kid from Jingle All the Way, who introduces us to pod racing and the term wizard. Again, before you go hating on these actors, remember he's a person and his name is Jake Lloyd. Not Keira Knightley again. Age 14 meets her future husband, age 9, who is also a slave. They win a pod race, take Anakin away from his mother, and get back to the Senate, but not before they encounter Darth Maul, a Sith Lord. After getting no help from galactic politics, they all travel back to Naboo to free the people from the robot army of the Trade Federation. The mighty Thor reveals she is in fact not Pirates of the Caribbean and has been Jane Foster the whole time, pleading to Jar Jar's people to help her fight the droid army. And in an overly complicated final act, Anakin, again age 9, accidentally flies a starfighter into orbit and destroys an entire blockade ship controlling the droid army, saving the Jar Jars from them. Black Swan uses her decoy to trap the Trade Federation leaders to stop the invasion, and in the scenes we actually care about, Schindler's List and Moulin Rouge fight against the double-sided lightsaber guy, But then Ra's al Ghul is killed, and Dr. Sleep avenges his master by slicing Maul in half, seemingly killing him as he falls down a shaft, which means you most definitely survive now in the Star Wars universe and show up in future Star Wars projects. Palpatine. And that's Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace in a Namely 90s Minute. More or less.
And now, back to the show.
Anywhere you want to go?
It's apparently to my right. Well, the only thing I know much about is Back to the Future 3, which what I know about it is I know Back to the Future 1, and I know that this is the third one.
And that the Back to the Future movies are pretty much the same movie, just 3 times.
Is this the future one or the past one?
The past one.
Where they go back to like 1800s or whatever?
1885.
1885, 20 years after the conclusion. So why am I talking like the guy from the Pace Picante commercials?
Oh, wow. Those are fun.
Yeah.
You could tell he's from New York. Back to the Future Part 3 is a 1990 American science fiction Western film, and the final installment in the Back to the Future trilogy. Back to the Future. Robert Zemeckis, directing Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, Mary Steenburgen is in this one, Thomas F. Wilson, and Leah Thompson. You don't get the dad back in part 2 or part 3 because Crispin Glover was like, well, I deserve more money for only being in 5 minutes of the movie. And yeah, so the third one, at the end of part 2, which I think is the best. Apparently critics think part 2 is the worst, but part 3 is the worst.
Yeah.
At the end of part 2, Doc's flying in the DeLorean. They just got the Gray Sports Almanac back from Biff in 1955. Marty lights it on fire. The lightning storm's going off. Marty's on the walkie-talkie talking to Doc and is like, you don't want to get hit by the lightning strike or else it'll send you back in. And then the lightning strike hits the flying DeLorean and it goes back in time. And then a UPS man comes and delivers a letter from 1885. In the rain, Marty runs to the Doc of 1955, who had just sent him back to the future in the previous movie. And Andrew's already falling asleep.
How did it get through the mail? Do they have a forever stamp?
Pretty much, except it was UPS, not USPS.
Ah, darn. What can Brown do for you?
That's exactly what they say, because it was product placements. And then they open up the movie and they find the DeLorean in a cave. Marty stumbles across a tombstone that says Doc was shot dead like 10 days after he wrote the letter to Marty. So he decides he's going to have to go back in time and save Doc.
I do love the novelty, like machine gun shooting scene at the professor in the first one.
You mean like when the Libyans come and shoot up the Lone Pine or Twin Pine Mall, depending on which part of it?
Yeah, but it's a cool thing where, like on movies where they're getting shot and they're like,
all the squibs just come off of them. But then you get to hear Marty yell, "You bastards!" as he dives into the DeLorean, like giving himself away to be shot at, and then dives into. And
then like later, doesn't Doc have a bulletproof vest on?
Yes, because Marty went back in time.
But like I get, okay, listen, bulletproof vests are like pretty good. Pretty sure they don't just like withstand multiple like AK-47 rounds, or is it like an Uzi or something?
No, it was an AK-47.
Just say, what's more like an 80s gun than an Uzi? Right.
That's a good point. But they were Middle Eastern terrorists, which was a big thing towards the end or mid parts of the 80s, once the Russians stopped being the
AK-47 is one of the most popular terrorist weapons.
Right. Apparently you can get one in less than a day in Vegas. Just a 1 day background check.
Yeah, it's definitely an AK-47 based on this.
Oh yeah. He's like waving it around in the like when they show up, like they go over the top with those.
And they still have the AK-47 in 500 years according to the new Halo series.
Well, yeah. Halo. What a terrible, terrible series. What is good is Strange New Worlds. Just gotta get a plug in for that Star Trek show again. If you're watching Halo and you think it's terrible, you should watch Star Trek Strange New Worlds instead, because it's 10 times better. Anyways, back in 1885, Marty meets his great-great-great-grandfather, also played by him, as I think his great-grandmother is played by his mother, played by Leah Thompson, who I only recently, who for a very long time I did not realize was actually young and then wearing old people makeup in every single.
The thing that bugs me about that is like, if like 2 more generations have come and gone, like they're not going to look the same. They get diluted by like half at each breeding.
The question is Marty just like inbred from the same parent and like
that seems probable to me.
Because aren't his parents technically, if his great grandmother looked like his mother, his parents could be like 4th cousins.
Oh, that's okay.
I mean, societally fine, but
no, actually, there's really no risk of increased birth defects. Like if it's your 2nd cousin or beyond, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, your 1st cousin might actually be okay. It turns out I heard like a report on that.
Very in-depth report that I studied.
It was probably on NPR. I don't know.
Part 3 was produced on a $40 million budget. It came out 6 months after the previous installment of Part 2. And it was the 6th highest grossing film of 1990, making $246 million worldwide. Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, it's a good movie, but like going from like a futuristic movie to a Western, a little jarring.
Yeah, the thing about time travel movies, they have that potential to go to any time frame, but yet it like kind of muddies the waters because, time travel, very high tech, very technological, but then juxtaposing that against the background of an 1885 Wild West is just something that sounds like a good idea on the surface, but in reality just sucks.
Yeah. The fun part about like the Back to the Future Part 2 is that they traveled to 2015, the far future of 2015, where we had flying cars and hoverboards. And you remember 2015, right? Like it was before COVID, so it's hard to like really remember what happened. But like I still remember my hoverboard.
I just think it's unreasonable to think that in 30 years, like everything's going to be flying and like be flying well, like that's just not how that works. It's not even a generation.
Yeah. We didn't even manage to get like good hybrid cars until
like TV first came about for consumers in the 50s. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And now TVs are still around and they're like really good and they like get better occasionally, but they're kind of at the pinnacle of their goodness. So to expect that all of a sudden you would just be able to hover everywhere after like 30 years is a little outrageous.
But made for good moving. Jim Henson.
He was the creator of Sesame Street. No, Muppets. I
mean, technically, yes, but he technically did create Sesame Street.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. I always thought Sesame Street was separate from Jim Henson.
They are, but they were they are.
So are they Muppets? Not really.
They were created by the same people that made Muppets,
but they're not in the Muppet universe.
I want to say no.
Are the Ninja Turtles Muppets?
No, but they were also created by Jim Henson's Creature Studio. So I see your point. Our Sesame Street Muppets.
Everyone's a Muppet. Which is a British insult.
They are Sesame Street Muppets.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yes.
But they don't overlap.
Not really, no. Because they're the Sesame Street Muppets are owned by PBS, or I guess technically now HBO, and the Muppets are owned by Disney.
Yeah,
ABC.
UK informal Muppet, a stupid person.
Which they always say Moppet.
There's such a
the way they
Muppet.
pronounce
Muppet.
God, this is really terrible for our English speaking.
Sorry. Well, listen.
He's going to say pronounce things correctly.
No,
so,
I mean,
make sure
again,
you email us at
they
namely90s.com.
invented the R, but they can't say it. Anyway, they didn't actually invent the R.
You mean the R?
The R. As in AWWWW?
Yeah.
Are you at the dentist?
Oh.
Okay, sorry guys. We say a lot of stuff really dumb too. So really dumbly? No.
Like that?
Yes, indeed. Yes.
Okay, so we talked about Jim Henson a little bit when we talked about Muppets Tonight back in episode 48, I want to say. So let's just focus on his dying of pneumonia real quick. He appeared on the Arsenio Hall show on May 4th, 1990. That was his last televised appearance. He told his publicist he was tired and had a sore throat, but he thought it would go away soon. On the 12th, he traveled to North Carolina with his daughter to visit his father and stepmother. They went back to New York City the following day, and he canceled a recording session that had been scheduled for the 14th. His estranged wife came to visit that night. He was having trouble breathing when he woke up around 2 a.m., and he began coughing up blood. He told his wife he might be dying, but he didn't want to take time off from his schedule to visit a hospital. That might be the fatal error there.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 hours later, he was agreed to be taken by taxi to an emergency room. Shortly after being admitted, he stopped breathing and was rushed into intensive care. And the X-ray image showed multiple abscesses on both of his lungs as a result of previous bacterial infection. He was placed on a ventilator, deteriorated over the next few hours. And although the medicine killed off most of the infection, it had already weakened his organs, and he died at 1:21 a.m. Is that the 16th? 16th. And
sad.
Yeah. Dr. David Gelmont announced that Henson had died from Streptococcus pneumoniae. I don't know if I said that one right.
Close enough.
It's bacterial pneumonia, or it causes bacterial pneumonia. And then he reclassifies it as organ dysfunction resulting from streptococcal toxic shock syndrome caused by the Streptococcus pyogenes.
Pyogenes. A good try.
Pyogenes. Yes. I can hate OChem.
It's not. Nope. That's microbiology.
Oh, I don't take microbiology.
That's okay.
Let's see. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure stress doesn't lead to like severe bacterial pneumonia.
Well, so what was going on around the same time is Disney was trying to, I think they're trying to buy the Muppets, or they bought the Muppets, like the Muppet Show Muppets. And he was like, he didn't, because he already gave away Sesame Street, so he didn't want to get rid of the Muppets too. And yeah.
To be clear, stress can suppress your immune system and could make you more susceptible to infection.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, on his funeral, we might have talked about his funeral, or maybe I just watched too many documentaries on Jim Henson. But it was like a big memorial service that was, I think it was televised. It took place in London. Harry Belafonte sang "Turn the World Around." Creators or other voices came on stage. Big Bird and sang Kermit's song "Being Green," and because Kermit was voiced by Henson, I believe. So It was kind of a funeral for Kermit.
That's
I don't know
sad.
why I laughed at that.
Ha
Ha!
Muppet necking. Know your meme. What?
Yeah.
I hate the internet.
Frank Oz was there. Speaking of the internet, or not the internet, but things you hate, TURTLE power. TURTLE power. TURTLE power. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. On the half shell, they're the heroes for in this day and age. Who could ask for more? The crime wave is high with mugging mysterious. All police and detectives are furious because they can't find the source of this lethally evil force. This is serious. Go give me a quarter. I was a witness. Get me a reporter. Call April O'Neil on this case. You better hurry up. There's no time to waste. We need help, like quick, on the double. Have pity on the city man. It's in trouble. We need heroes like the Lone Ranger when Tonto came pronto when there was danger. They didn't say we'd be there in a half hour because they displayed turtle power.
Go Ninja, go Ninja, go. Wait, no, this is the original rap,
yes,
isn't
this
it?
is first movie. Now our ace reporter was hot on the trail, determined to put these crooks in jail. She spied the bad guys and saw what happened, but before she knew it, she fell in the trap and got caught. That didn't rhyme. Yeah, she was all alone with no friends and no phone. Now this was beyond her worst dreams because she was cornered by some wayward teens. Headed by Shredder, they were anything but good, misguided and loved. They called him the Foot. They could terrorize and beat angry youth, and they'd mug the people who needed proof. Then from out of the dark came an awesome sound, shouting "Cowabunga" as they hit the ground. This feels like 'Twas the Night Before Christmas.
It does.
From the field of weeds, the heroes rescued the flower because they possessed turtle power.
Turtle power.
TURTLE power. Times 6.
Power. Sounds like what it would be like.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Oh, wait, wrong song. When you stand for what you believe in and find the strength to do what's right, that's turtle power. Heroes on the half shell, they're on a mission. When there's a battle, got the enemy wishing that they stayed at home instead of fighting these ninja masters with moves like lightning. They were once normal, but now they're mutants. Splinter's the teacher, so they are the students. Leonardo, Michelangelo, Donatello make up the team with one other fellow, Raphael. He's the leader of the group transformed from the norm by the nuclear goop. Raphael is not the leader of the team.
Yeah, but group rhymes with goop.
But it doesn't. Leonardo and Raphael don't rhyme with anything in this. Pizza's the food that's sure to please. These ninjas are into pepperoni and cheese. Back to the story that's not hard to find. Ninjas, not just the body, but of the mind. Those were the words that Master instructed, but a letter from Shredder has Splinter abducted. That was the last straw. Spring into action. God, this is so long. Step on the foot. Now they're gonna lose traction. Now this is for real, so you fight for justice. Your shell is hard, so you shout. They can't dust us off like some old coffee table. What?
That doesn't. What? They didn't even use the word able to rhyme with it.
Since you've been born, you've been willing and able to defeat the sneak, protect the walk, fight for the rights and your freedom to speak. Now the villain is chilling, so you make a stand.
What?
Back to the wall. Put your sword in your hand. Remember the words of your teacher, your master. Evil moves fast, but good moves faster than light shining for your illumination. That's the full quote.
Yeah, you can't rhyme the first part of the quote with the previous sentence and the second part with the next sentence.
Good versus evil equals confrontation. So when you're in trouble, don't give in and turn sour. Try to rely on your turtle power. TURTLE power. TURTLE power. TURTLE power. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and that times 4.
So illumination and confrontation are not a rhyme.
No, they are not.
Like just having a TION at the end doesn't make it rhyme.
Illumination, confrontation. I guess it has a full Asian. Raphael is not the leader of the group.
But this one had good pizza in it, right? It wasn't like gross looking, like really limp pizza.
Yes, but also it was Domino's, so I don't.
Yeah, Domino's had a bit of a glow up in recent years too.
Domino's made sure that their pizza looked good on this film. No one made sure the pizza looked anything at all on the other film. And we're taking that one to the grave. Any other thoughts on Turtle Power by Partners in Kryme with a K and a Y?
Why do they do this to us? That's my question.
Why would they say Raphael is the leader?
Because it established the rhyme that they needed. That's the thing.
There was no rhyme.
Like,
it was mutant students team Raphael.
I know that rhyming is supposed to be done on purpose, but this was so like purposefully obnoxious that I hated it so much.
Was it because Leonardo, Michelangelo, and Donatello end in O? Like, is that so they grouped those together so that
what's
Raphael
last name? Reginald? Oh, Raphael. Sorry.
The leader is Reginald.
Reginald the turtle.
He has like a monocle, and
we should make a very proper Ninja Turtles.
Reginald, Barclay,
these are all dog
Blunderbuss.
Blunderbuss. Oh gosh, that's funny. It's basically like a shotgun with a trumpet horn at the end.
And the leader, gonorrhea. And that's it for this week's edition of Namely 90s. Remember, you can find new episodes out every Monday. Check the episode description for this week's supplemental Spotify playlist curated by yours truly. Find us on Twitter and Instagram at Namely90s with 90s, or find our personal accounts at bshwitty and at NamelyAndrew, and tell us what you want us to talk about on future episodes. If you'd like to support the show, please check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Namely90s, also with a 90s. Finally, you can also contact us through our website, Namely90s.com. Please subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, TURTLE, Power, Deezer, TuneIn, iHeart, Good Pods, and wherever you get your podcasts from. I'm Brandon. That's Andrew, and we'll catch you next time.
I'm a freak. I like the girls with the boom. I once got busy in a Burger King bathroom.
Yes.